too. And so it's up to you if you move a mountain or from a little tiny seed grows a mighty oak tree. Don't take no difficulty, it's easy. You just got to let a little loving in. You just let a little loving in. Just let a little loving in. L-O-V-E. Life don't always say everything's gonna be okay. There's gonna be hard days climbing up the mountain. Just keep on keeping on. And if you need someone to lean on, well, I'll help you carry on. All you got to do is open up your heart and just let a little loving in. Just let a little loving in. Gonna let a little loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. You got to let a little loving in. Come on and let a little loving in. Just a little bit, let a little loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. And when your step is weary and your heart is weak, and when you have rested and regained your strength, well, anytime and every time, for now there is no better time to let a little loving in. You just got to let a little loving in. Come on and let a little bit of loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. You got to let a little loving in. Just go on and open up and let some loving in. You got to let a little bit of loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. Oh, just let a little loving in. Come on, let a little bit of loving in. You got to let some loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. And people say, let a little loving in. Let a little loving in, yeah. Let a little loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. One more time. Let a little loving in. Just let a little loving in. Just let a little loving in. L-O-V-E, amen. L-O-V-E, amen.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Veronica Valles. I am so deeply grateful to be a licensed practitioner here at the center and a minister in training. Moving through the journey of ministry, I gave birth to Aristotle, Socrates, and Pseudo-Dionysius last semester, and it was quite a journey. So once again, I always thank you for your prayers. We're gonna do a little dance between information and inspiration. It was Earth Day yesterday, 33rd annual Earth Day. And I learned something new, that in 1970, our beloved Mother Earth, there's a gentleman, U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin, who was so disturbed and distraught by the 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill, so inspired by the anti-war movement, so concerned about the direction of these cars that were like boats, this massive pollution, the filth that was happening without any consciousness, that he called forth a teach-in. Earth Day began as a teach-in. And he organized thousands, and then those thousands organized 20 million people in 1970, when I was 7 years old, to bring awareness to the environment. And so we're going to talk about Earth Day from our universal principles, the understanding of universal principles. So I have a good fortune.
Veronica, we need you to use the handheld mic.
Ministry 101, be flexible. See if I can do this with my left hand. All right, so I had the good fortune of meeting Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14 astronaut, sixth man to land and walk on the moon. And he's sharing this story, I was in Los Angeles, about on his trip back, that when he saw the Earth, he had this most amazing, mystical
mystical experience, to see the oneness of the planet, the beauty of the planet. No lines, no borders, just this wholeness. And he recognized in that moment that we participate in a universe that is consciousness, and has made it his life purpose to reveal, to research, to study, to understand consciousness. And so in our understanding of the wholeness and the oneness that is God, he had that perspective. I wish I could say I took that picture, I did not. But how in your life, and when in your life, when you step in to this natural theater or this natural cathedral, like the mountains, or you stand before the ocean, or you're laying there listening to just the song of the river, or you see the wildflower fields as you're driving and just in awe of the beauty. How, in that moment that you melt, do you recognize that all of this is the oneness that is God? The wholeness, the oneness, it is our universal principle to absolutely recognize that we believe in God, the living Spirit, Almighty One, in self-existent and indestructible cause. And that this manifestation that we call earth, God manifests in and through all of manifestation. Ernest Holmes says that each one of us is divinity made manifest, and that nature, yes, nature is the body of God. This is the body of God. It's that fundamental understanding of oneness that allows us to recognize on days that are, set aside like Earth Day, but every day for me is Earth Day. Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm a tree hugger. Hi, I'm Veronica. I dance in wildflower fields. Hi, I'm Veronica. I love God. How often do we stop to recognize the oneness that is life? So through Earth Day, we're in the 43rd year. Our absolute knowingness that all there is God allows us to move from our universal principle of oneness to recognize the wholeness of life, the power and presence, the divine intelligence, the creativity that is God that expresses in such exquisite ways. There are 8.7 million species, 8.7 million, and they're still counting. But at that same time, 50% is dying out. So it's in that awareness that each one of us is a manifestation of the one, and the awareness that each one of us has this awareness that it is all God, that we come to the understanding in science of the mind of the law of cause and effect. We're spiritual and mental beings. Cause. Then there's an effect. So what we see in the environment is a recognition that all of life begins from the inside out. That this race consciousness, this collective consciousness, even though there was a movement in the 1970s, a lot has been done in regard to the environment. Laws have been implemented, but we're still raising awareness. And so the awareness becomes, how do we recognize that these pristine rivers, these beautiful rivers, who then become polluted by the actions of man, we must bear witness to this. We must stand in the place of knowing that our causes, our choices have an effect. And how do we awaken in every moment to recognize that we indeed are interconnected? People like statistics, so I'm not going to read all this, but it was astonishing. 100 million lives affected yearly by environmental factors. 3 million children that die every year because of environmental factors. Now the good news is that 85 million tons of material waste did not go into a landfill because of people recycling, reusing, reducing. So the law of cause and effect, we must bear witness to what we see, but then at the same time, we can consciously make other choices. We believe in the ultimate spiritual reality that is God, that is good. But we must stand present to the experience. We must stand present to the rivers. We must stand present to the oceans. We must stand present to the species. And not to shame, blame, guilt, because that doesn't do anything. But to bear witness to it and then awaken to a new level of consciousness and the awareness that we are one, and the awareness of the law of cause and effect, and the awareness that we can consciously make choices. Because we live in this world, that there is this unity of life, the interdependence of life. Now, homes and we live in our communities, but we don't necessarily see where, our recycling goes or the trash goes or, things that are, moving along. And I live at White Rock Lake, by the lake, and when it rains, I go during the rain or right after because you'll see coming down the river like a snake, this ton of trash. And then it's washed up upon the shores. And I stand there and it can be overwhelming because it's all lined up and all sorts of things come down that river. If you go to Love of the Lake and White Rock Lake, you will find Buddha statues and wheels and balls, everything. But I stand there and I know I can't do everything, but what can I do in this moment? But it makes me realize that my conscious choice to take either a bottle or take a cup and put it in the trash may end up somewhere else. There's things that I am aware that I can recycle this, I can reuse this, I can bring my own cup to Starbucks. But there is this law of cause and effect. And when I see this along the banks, I think of them in terms of thoughts. These are the thoughts that are out pictured. And where in my life am I not being mindful? And where in my life can I make different choices? And where in my life can those choices then impact the environment? Because we do live in this universe, on this planet, because I don't know about any other planets, where we are interconnected. We are interdependent. There's not us and them. There's just the oneness. It's all of us. And the divine shows up in such amazing ways. We stand in the awareness that there is a cause and an effect. And so I just want to show a short clip. It's a preview of a movie.
Do we have the courage to face the realities of our time and allow ourselves to feel deeply enough that it transforms us and our future? Come with me on a journey through the eye of beauty. Across an ocean of grief. And beyond.
Do we have the courage to feel? Do we have the courage to see? Do we have the courage to recognize the impact of our progress? Now let me tell you something. I always get in trouble for saying that. I always like to say that. Progress is good. God expresses as and through us as innovative, creative beings. The new movement is about the bright, green future. It's not about going backwards. It's not about recreating the Garden of Paradise. It's not about, shame and blame, like I said, but it's how can we, in the conscious awareness that we live in a universe that is interconnected, that we are interdependent, but how can we create this innovative technology for sustainable living so that our impact is lighter on this planet. Our footprint is lighter on this planet. You'll hear about carbon footprint and climate change and this calculator and that calculator, and sometimes that can feel a little overwhelming. One thing, one choice, because we have that capacity to make a difference. So in the Joyous Living Journal, let's see, I'm going to do this one-handed. They write about seeds of peace, and I just wanted to share this because I found it so powerful. It talks about, as you walk lighter on the earth, our children will be blessed. Work on becoming conscious of some unconscious, negatively impactful expression of yours. This will help you stop the destruction, thus beginning the planting of seeds of peace and blessing future generations to come. The quote is, when we plant trees, we plant the seeds of peace and seeds of hope. We also secure the future for our children. We can't do everything. It does become overwhelming. But we can make choices within our life. Simple choices within our life that can have a ripple effect out in the world. So I had the great pleasure of going with Hope to Earth Day Dallas, and I just have a few little things that they gave us because there's vendors everywhere. Solar panel, wind panel, organic clothes, farm. This one group of women are teaching organic farming in the back of a truck converted into a garden. It was awesome. And so the whole point is that this little plastic bag is made from recycled plastic. You can change one light bulb at a time. My mom's like, well, these are expensive. I go, one at a time, Mom. One at a time. Hope got a little tree. You can plant a tree because the trees need us as much as we need them. There's this dance between us with the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. We can do landscape within our area because I was down in Austin, Texas, and it's beautiful how they do the xeriscape, I think it's called, where they don't use as much water, they use native plants, and it's beautiful. It's simple. If we stand and look at the big picture, it can be overwhelming. And you don't have to go do a protest, which I love doing in my 20s. It's all about what do I do now? How do I show up awake and aware and actions that are in alignment with that? How do I show up knowing that the oneness of God and the power of God and the presence of God and the beauty of God is expressing as and through all creation, and that my one choice, that instead of getting a cup that is made from a tree, that I buy one container that I use, being aware. And sometimes I can get overwhelmed because I have a pair of glasses. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? They broke. I can't put them in the recycling. I will not put them in the trash. And so I had a conversation with Ruth Bleeker, and she goes, the pharmacies will recycle them. I'm like, yes. Simple things. There's plenty of research. Find something every day that you can do that supports the environment. I'm not saying go out and be radical. I'm definitely not saying go out and judge people. We don't need to be the nude ball police. But we just have to be aware and mindful of our choices. That our individual choice has an impact. So once again, it's the awareness of oneness, the law of cause and effect, the unity of life. These are three of our principles, and how they play together in this body of God that we call Earth. In the Buddhist path, they have the Bodhisattva, an enlightened being who comes, to alleviate and teach people to alleviate suffering on this planet. And so the Bodhisattva vows, creations are numberless, I vow to free them. But I say the conscious evolutionary vows, creations are numberless, I vow to let them be free. And by letting them be free is by being mindful of our choices. Mindful of companies that are creating innovative ways. Mindful of how much that we have and how much that we can reuse, reduce, recycle, restore, replenish. Those are the new R's of education. And how can we recognize that God is present in all of this? All of this. So I invite you to journey with me, just for a few minutes, about a minute and a half. So when I go out about nature, I recognize and I see only God. And so my mantra becomes, I see God, only God. Even when there's the trash, I see God, only God. When the butterfly comes by, I see God, only God. When the sunset's so spectacular, I see God, only God. I see God here, I see God there, but I see God in the winged beings and the creepy crawlers. I'm learning to see God in cockroaches. I'm not there yet. I'm really working on that. So I invite you to go on this little meditation with me, and together, let us chant this together, but throughout, I want you to focus on what you see. And together, we're going to continuously say, I see God, only God. So with me, I see God, only God. 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 God, only God. I see God, only God. Let me feel it. I see God, only God. Let me hear it. I see God, only God. Feel it with your heart. God, only God. I see God, only God. I see God, only God. I see God, only God. Look at these lovely manifestations. I see God, only God. Just a few more. God, only God. I see God, only God. I see God, only God. Breathe it in. Only God. I see God, 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 only God. Look at the beauty. Breathe in the beauty. Heart wide open. I see God, only God. We're almost there. I see God, only God. I see God, only God. I see God, only God. Look how beautiful. Only God. I see God, 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 only God. Breathe it in. When you go out today, look down below. Look up above. Imagine these beautiful winged beings in some rainforest that we have no idea who they are, except that they're a divine expression. Colorful, magnificent, exquisite in every way. I can spend hours getting photographs like that, but I want to see these up close and personal. But I can't. But I do know that there's certain actions that I take that affect the rainforest, and certain actions that I take that affect the ocean, and certain actions that I take that affect the air. And not only these beings, but our brothers and sisters around the planet. So the invitation is with Earth Day that we recognize the oneness that is God. We recognize the universal law of cause and effect. We recognize the unity that is God. And we stand here in this awareness that our every choice is powerful, that we make a difference, that we see God and only God always, and how beautiful, and not to be overwhelmed, but to be in that overwhelming joy of the power, the presence that is God, and that together, collectively, that what we do ripples out into the world. And with a heart wide open, see God And so, if I could invite Andrew to come up, I invite you to close your eyes. I'm going to first read a Lakota instruction for living. Allow yourself just to receive the word that was passed down from White Buffalo Cattlewoman. Friends, do it this way, that is. Whatever you do in life, do the very best you can with both your heart and mind. And if you do it that way, the power of the universe will come to your assistance if your heart and mind are in unity. When one sits in the hoop of the people, one must be responsible because all of creation is related. And the hurt of one is the hurt of all. And the honor of one is the honor of all. And whatever we do affects everything in the universe. If you do it that way, that is, if you truly join your heart and mind as one, whatever you ask for, that's the way it's going to be. So we breathe into this knowingness, we breathe into this oneness, we breathe into this awareness. Oh, how beautiful to know that all of life is God. I stand here in the presence of this holy, sacred temple that I call Great Mother Earth. I stand here in the recognition of the oneness, the divine intelligence, the beauty, the joy, the love that is God, that expresses in such exquisite, magnificent ways. How beautiful between the porcupine and the eagle that all of this is God. How beautiful to recognize that Spirit's creative intelligence is demonstrating such exquisite colors, these rainbow hues of not only our humanity, but all of life. The emerald, the sapphire, the absolute beauty of the one. We are indeed the caretakers, the conscious evolutionary beings walking through this path together, acknowledging all that has been, grateful for those in 1970 who stood there and said yes to a whole planet, yes to the environment, yes to nature, yes to experiencing just good for all. And so we just stand here in this place of knowing that my life, your life, all of life is God. It's in that awareness that leads our action. It's in that awareness from our choices move forward. It's in that dance of the innovative and the creative, acknowledging what is there, bearing witness to what is the suffering, but standing in the ultimate truth that the spiritual reality is God. And that the power, the presence of one mind expresses itself through every choice, every innovative technology. Every day is Earth Day. Every day is God Day. Every moment is the expression of the one as and through us. So with a heart wide open, I breathe into this recognition. I breathe into this unification. I breathe into this awareness that this beautiful garden of paradise is actually present now. I call forth heaven as earth. I know that each one of us, through our choices, just lead the way with light, with love, and knowing that we make a difference. And that we walk lighter, we dance more, we sing with the mockingbird, we stand and wander to the raspberry sunrise, and just know that it is always and only God. I see God, only God. And that is so powerful. So I breathe into this awareness, breathe into this prayer, allowing it just to reverberate out into the universe. Love coming in, love going out, love leading the way, and as we inspire each other to be the creative, conscious, evolutionary beings that we are, we stand here with billions of people on the planet who said yes to Earth Day and continue one step, one choice, one thought at a time, being the peace, and allowing those seeds of peace to flourish in this wildflower field of wonder. So I call it so beautiful. I call it perfect in every single way. And I just know that indeed that this word is activated in that divine law. And I let it be. I let it be. And together we breathe into this knowingness, breathing into this recognition, breathing into this magnificent exhale.